protocols, including setting the agenda. That's important. Next slide. We're going to talk about micromanagement, getting into the how and the effects that that has. Next slide. You're not always going to agree on everything. So we're going to talk about how to work our way through those things through deliberation. And sometimes board members do things they shouldn't do, and whose responsibility is it to address that? So we're going to talk about that. Next slide. Social media and the grapevine. People see what you're doing all the time. Next slide. Closed session. Next slide. So we have, I would say we probably have anywhere from 30 minutes to another hour of discussion. We're not done, but Mr. Brown needs to bring closure because we said 7 o'clock and set the tone for our next meeting. So Jim, you know what needs to get done on this, where you determine it as you work with President Phillips on the next training. I'd like to be able to finish those slides that I just covered briefly. Jim?
I think that's very doable. And I think, I'm not speaking for Mr. Phillips, but I think that would transition very smoothly into the superintendent and board evaluation processes. So that would be the agenda for the meeting next time. Mr. Phillips, does that sound doable? And Superintendent Hurst? Chris?
Yeah, we got to finish those, and we need to do the superintendent evaluation. I know that at the last meeting, not the last meeting, but one of the board meetings, it's all running together. I had told the board that, because I know some of them have some ideas of things that they want to cover too. And so I told the board that they could, say what their thoughts were at this meeting as well. But so I would like to, shave off a little bit of time for them to be able to talk about things that they would like to be covered. But I do want us to finish this, and I definitely want us to do the superintendent evaluation workshop. I think Mr. Gonzalez will.
Thanks, President Phillips. I just wanted to ask what we were thinking about timeline, because I know we have more graduations and we have a lot of timely issues in the next few weeks, including the end of school. But I also think that the rest of this presentation and conversation is essential for our transition. So I was just wondering what President Phillips, you and Mr. Brown and Dr. Hurst were envisioning for when we could finish this conversation.
I asked maybe like a week ago, I asked Dr. Hurst to handle the scheduling for this. So I'm sticking with that. And the idea would be for him to reach out to the board and try to, get a date on the calendar that works for us as soon as possible, like he did with this one.
I think we were thinking about early July, but I don't know if that works for Trustee Reckler. I know you were going to be gone for a while. I'm assuming it would be a Zoom meeting. So, but there's so much going on right now. Let the year settle and Chris gets in, and if that would work, probably the second or third week in July. But I'm just throwing that out there.
I do want to say this really quickly though. This board has a lot of promise and it has a lot of potential, but we need to learn, right, how to do this work and to do it effectively. And so one of the reasons why Dr. Hurst got this on the calendar for today is because, I'm not trying to speak for him now, but so I'll speak for myself. I don't think that we can afford to not finish this presentation until the middle of July. So I think we need to be back here as soon as possible.
And I will just add to that. I know in my conversation with President Phillips, I just advocated for sooner rather than later. And all of these are topics that need to be done right away. And I know that there's a lot of activities going on, but I would not like to wait till July. I would like to really look for opportunities as soon as possible, just to be very honest with you. And again, I do know that there's a lot of things happening with the board, but these are all very important topics, especially me coming in as a new superintendent. And the reason why I'm in the midst right now of sharing clear expectations with the entire organization. So it's very important for me to hear from the Board of Trustees the clear expectations they have from me. And I cannot afford to wait until July to hear that from them. So
What are you looking at?
it's up to the board. I mean, if we can iron that out right now, I'm willing to do that. I'm open, to be honest with you. I can clear anything on a Saturday or a Sunday to make it happen. And I do want to be very aware of those who have religious services happening as well, but I can make myself available. It's really up to the board.
What about June 5th? Oh, Demetrio and Jamila have.
Thank you. I was just
June
going to offer
5th.
a suggestion of, since we don't have a board meeting in the next 2 weeks on a Wednesday, maybe a Wednesday night. To be honest, weekends are really hard for me because I have a full-time job. It's really the only time I see my wife and family, as I'm sure all of you feel the same pain. So if we could utilize the non-having a board meeting, that would be the easiest thing for me, but I'm willing to definitely give up a weekend day in the next 2 weeks to make sure that we do it as soon as possible. But I just want to put that as a suggestion.
It's Wednesday, the 20th, next Wednesday. Does that work? Sandy, are you still in
What
town next? The 26th?
no, I'm gonna be headed out.
Okay, that doesn't work. Okay. Is there another day next week? Is Wednesday, are we locked into Wednesday?
Let me just jump in here really quick and then Trustee Smith follows, and then I'm gonna jump in really quick on the time. Go ahead, Trustee.
I'm just making sure that I'm on the same page as everybody. We're not extending tonight, right? We're not talking about tonight. So, okay. See, I'm used to us extending. So I was trying to figure out, like, are we talking about tonight? Or are we talking about a different day? Okay, I'm on the same page with everybody now. Please go forth and continue. I'm with everybody in the conversation.
So what I wanted to jump in on is, I haven't not gone through this training before, but when we have had retreats in the past, even today, we've been together for 6 hours, right? And so I think that's why we've been reserving the retreats for the weekends, like a Saturday, because if we did it on a Wednesday, for example, at 6 o'clock when people got off of work, we would have been here until midnight. So we might want to stick with at least this kind of meeting, right, on the weekend, because it takes a lot of time.
And maybe June 5th. Does that work?
We have a Dianza High School graduation, but
Right, yeah.
after, I mean, I don't know how long those are, but after that, probably Dr. Hurst and I will crawl into the meeting, but yes, totally fine if that works for everyone else.
I like the Wednesday idea too, though, because you don't have to go as long. We could do a 3 hour, for example, versus a 6 hour and get some work done in 3 hours. So a combination might be worth considering.
Mr. Garza, I want my money's worth. If these are 6 hour meetings, don't put us on a Wednesday and give us half a presentation. I want my money's worth.
It would be half and half.
Well,
Equal one.
President Phillips, we're committed to giving you more than your money's worth,
Yeah.
just as we did during the search process.
What time on June 5th were you able to start?
The graduation begins at 9:30, and I believe, Trustee Phillips, please correct me if I'm wrong, because you've done this before. Large graduations usually last about 3 hours, 4 hours max. So we'll probably be done by 2.
Yeah, the only thing is, no, I mean, the timing that you just gave is about right. The only issue is because we're in COVID you know, if it's going, it could be potentially slower. So I think you'd have to talk to, or somebody would have to talk to Deanza about how they're doing it and get an estimate from them. Because I think this is going to be a different year.
How about 2 hours on the second, 2 to 2.5, and then the balance on Saturday afternoon, the 5th?
I can't do June the 5th. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe we can doodle poll off the camera because this may take another
Yep.
hour.
Yeah, it will.
Dr. Hurd.
Okay.
We can do that.
A wise suggestion.
Can Debbie do, Chris, can your office do the doodle poll then?
Yes.
You and I will work together on the dates.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, it's important to note that maybe if you might just get Sandy and Jim on one, or Sandy and I, or Jim and I, or some combination of just two of us, so that we can make it happen. So that was a discussion that we had amongst ourselves too, because we understand the urgency, but we also want to be able to provide good information for you. So you may get a combination of all three or two of us, depending on this, on the date and time.
And know, as Juan mentioned earlier today, that the three of us are, we have this very, very deep investment in all of you and your whole community. I honestly haven't ever experienced a search like the one we did with you guys. I don't think any of us in our entire organization, no, I shouldn't say I don't think, I know for sure that nobody ever, no one ever had this lengthy, but you know what? We were teasing each other that we were making 2 cents on the hour and we didn't care. It was community service because we seriously were all in.
Welcome to West Contra Costa. We feel that. We feel that.
We feel this
Yeah, you
gravitation.
could feel our pain. Yeah, you could feel
Demetria
our
and I-
pain, right?
Demetria and I figured out that we make negative. So
You're paying system, right?
if you made 2 cents, we made
Okay,
negative.
so the agreement is that we, I'm frozen.
I think you're unfrozen now. Are you?
Yeah, I am. So, Chris, you and I will work out the schedule on a doodle poll, and I'm gonna, you don't need to know all the details for us individual schedules. We'll work it out.
And then can I just ask a question though, that the 4 sessions, if I can just get this in my brain so I can submit some thoughtful comments. Role of the governance team, high quality teaching and learning, and then best practices of the governance team and protocols for evaluation. Are those the 4 areas?
Yeah, today we did the teaching and learning and the first part of roles and responsibilities where we looked at best practices. And then Juan started to take us through specific issues where roles and responsibilities come up and how those should be clearly defined in a number of areas. He has about another hour to go on that. And then the next workshop then would conclude with working first on superintendent evaluation, the template, the process, and then the board evaluation.
Okay.
We had originally envisioned that the 3rd and 4th workshops would be a mid-year check-in, a mid-year evaluation, how are things going, and helping you with the end of the year evaluation and assessment. But if there are topics on the list that you had, kind of the table of contents that we shared with you in the packet, that you want to move the 4 meetings up sooner because they're topics we want to address between now and September 1st, we're prepared to do that.
Okay, no, that's just helpful. I can think it through and then go back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, it sounds like we are done on this part for today. So we need to actually do public comment on this item. Folks in TV land, all 4 of you who are left, if you do want to make public comment on this item, please raise your hand. Going once, going twice, gone. Okay, so there's no public comment. The next item on the agenda is the next scheduled Board of Education meeting. As you just heard, we're going to work on scheduling another follow-up workshop, and we have a regularly scheduled board meeting on June 9th. And there also may be a special board meeting scheduled to handle all those facility things that we took off the last agenda. So there's a lot coming up, but those are in the works. And with that, we are adjourning the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for fully participating. This was great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, leadership.
Okay,
Pleasure.
see you soon.
It's great to,
Bye-bye.
nice.
Say it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.